search and rescue ship, the Aquarius, which has saved thousands of migrants from the Mediterranean, has announced it's ceasing operations. Doctors Without Borders, which runs the mission, blamed pressure from European countries initiated by Italy. The charity said Rome had sabotaged its efforts to save lives. For the last 2 months, the ship has been confined to the port in Marseille following allegations it broke the law. The Italian government accused those behind the mission of running a taxi service to Italian ports by carrying people on the ship. According to International Organization for Migration, more than 2,000 people have died or gone missing this year in attempts to reach Europe via the Mediterranean. Well, live now to Dr. Tom de Kock, who is going to discuss this further, project coordinator for the Aquarius. Thanks for coming onto the programme, Tom. Why exactly have you decided to give up on this?
Well, we certainly haven't given up. We've been forced to stop operations.
Can you explain why?
Yeah. In the last 3 months, we've had our flag stripped twice, once expressly from Italian pressure to the Panamanian Maritime Authority. Most recently, we've had a trumped-up waste profiteering legal process started in Catania, Sicily, and it's part of a longer 2-year smear campaign, not just of ourselves, but of the whole search and rescue community, if you'd like to refer to it as such. All of it attempting to switch the focus onto us away from the vulnerable who are at present drowning at sea.
Tom, if you throw in the towel now, won't thousands more migrants now be at risk?
No, we're doing this precisely because we want to be where they are and be in a position to save them. Sometimes you have to switch tacks to get back in a position to help people, and that's consequently what we've been forced to do.
If we look at what Italy's accused Aquarius of doing, it's said that they're providing a taxi service to its ports. Can you understand the concerns that they've raised? What are your views on that?
It's an easy claim to say that we are a taxi service. It's a way of creating, it's a hyperbole, it's a way of making an easy summary of a very complex situation, but we're not a taxi service. We are an association of doctors and nurses working with mariners in the sea to save people's lives. It's not a taxi service. It's making such a claim is patently absurd.
Yeah, I mean, they've said that you've helped save migrants making dangerous crossing to Europe from Libya and elsewhere, but you face this strong opposition, particularly from Italy, and their policy is that migrants picked up at sea should be returned to Libya by the country's coast guard. But you've kind of helped them get to the Italian ports, haven't you?
In the past, prior to the closure of ports, we brought them to the closest port of safety, which is a legal concept to which Italy is a party to. How Europe chooses to make assessments for asylum claims is a European issue, but ultimately saying that the Libyan Coast Guard is responsible for bringing them back to Libya has been acknowledged by the UNHCR 3 times, 2012, 2014, and again this September, as an act of refoulement, which means putting people who have a human right to flee and a right not to be sent back into grave danger, where indefinite and arbitrary detention is a common practice, is not an acceptable alternative, and that's not acceptable for us.
If we look at, from the Italian perspective, they're trying to control illegal migration to Europe. That's the perspective they're putting. So how are they going to avoid returning these migrants back to Libya and the other countries that they're traveling from?
You mean how are they going to try and avoid it? I mean, the European Union has something called CAES, which is a comprehensive European asylum system. At present, there is something called the Dublin Regulation. It dictates that every border nation is responsible for everybody who arrives there. The preamble to creating that was that border states take their migration very seriously. Consequently, it has left room for populist and right-wing politicians to create and stoke fear and use what is arguably not a migration crisis. The European Commission has admitted it's as much, to create fear. The 100,000 people crossing the Mediterranean is a very, very small drop in the bucket of population. And the ultimate point here is that what Italian and other European politicians are seeking is creating this into a discussion about migration. And it is most certainly not a discussion about migration. It is a discussion about rescue at sea.
Okay. Dr. Tom de Kock, Project Coordinator for the Aquarius, thank you very much for coming onto the programme to explain the situation. Thank you.